with the Pool 1 seeds. So Jankos, go ahead and draw the first team to go into Group A. Damwon Kia into Group A.
After a rough loss to RNG at MSI, it took a long time before Damwon Kia resembled that World Championship form. In a split marked for the team by lane swaps, off-meta drafts and individual underperformance, it wasn't until the final weeks of playoffs that the team really started to get back to form. However, during playoffs, we saw the re-emergence of one of the best teams in the world yet again, with refound diversity in draft, and Barrel in particular returning to form. Having gone through a transformative year and hungry after their MSI loss, the world champions are looking ready and poised to defend their title.
Next up, the first team to go into Group B. Go ahead. EDG into Group B.
EDG is the most domestically dominant organization in the history of the LPL. And after 3 years of not making Worlds, 2021 is finally the year they're able to add to that legacy again. EDG's big difference maker has to be Viper, who uses dominant laning phase and immaculate team fighting to join veterans Scout and Mako to bring EDG another championship. As the current LPL champions, EDG are one of the favorites for taking home the Summoners Cup and adding their name to the history books. EDG coming in as one of the strong favorites.
Next up, the next Pool 1 seed to go into Group C. Go ahead. PSG into Group C.
The Kings of the PCS return to the international stage after putting their region back on the map with a top 4 finish at MSI. PSG have the most decorated player in the region's history, and Maple guiding the team to a high-tempo, high-kill play style that can catch anyone off guard. Now with Unified back on the roster, PSG are at full power, and this team is looking to bring the same spirit from their last international appearance to make it past groups once again.
Go ahead and draw the final team out of Pool 1. The Mad Lions go into Group D.
The first seed from Europe, Mad Lions, will be looking to change the narrative coming into this year's Worlds. Last year, this org was the first European organization ever to not qualify from the play-in stage. Coming into 2020, they have done nothing but dominate. Back-to-back LEC titles, a semi-final at MSI versus world champions Damwon that went to all 5 games, and now a representative as Europe's best. The pressure is high for these young players as over the last 3 years, semi-finals appearance for Europe's first seed is the expectation. Can Humanoid, the newly acclaimed best mid in EU, lead his team to success, or will they crumble under the pressure?
Let's start with Pool 2. Go ahead and draw the first team, Jankos. FPX.
2019 World Champions Fun Plus Phoenix are back to reclaim their title. Since adding Nuggery to the roster, FPX have been on an absolute rampage this year with an extremely aggressive, skirmish-heavy playstyle, leading them to back-to-back LPL finals in 2021. All of this off the back of Dwinby having the best season of his career and picking up yet another Summer Split MVP award. With 5 former world champions on this roster, anything less than a second world title for FPX will be a disappointment. With their current form, it's very easy to believe in the Phoenix.
FPX goes into Group A. Time for the next team out of Pool 2. Hunter Thieves.
100 Thieves won their first ever LCS title after making the finals back in their first ever LCS split, and that vengeance against TL was sweet. This is an exciting roster. To me, there's 3 headliners here. Closer in the jungle is truly outstanding. He and Abadaga pair up and they play around the bot lane incredibly well. FBI and Huhi, you might remember him from an MSI final as a mid laner. He is an outstanding support player now. That bot lane duo is amazing. They get help and they convert on those leads. This is an exciting team. They're very good.
100 Thieves confirmed in Group B together with EDG. Draw the next team, please, Jankos. Fnatic.
Fnatic will be Europe's 2nd seed this year. No stranger to the international stage, this will be Fnatic's 9th appearance at the World Championship. What's even crazier is that in those 8 appearances, Fnatic has made it out of groups 7 times. Week 2 Fnatic is something that every European fan will have heard of and looks forward to, as the organization looks to continue their incredible international legacy. However, with a brand new roster, many are still trepidatious. Whippo role swapping to jungle, a rookie top laner with Adam, can they really compete with the best? Only time will tell.
Fnatic lands in Group C. Go ahead, Jankos, for the last team out of Pool 2. Genji.
Recent times have not been kind to Genji. The last week of summer they looked deflated and unable to maintain their often terrifying regular split form, and unlike spring, where they were still able to take a decisive victory over T1 and reach the finals, they went out unceremoniously. It has now been a good amount of time since we have seen Genji, and knowing the depth of experience and skill on this team, I expect them to look revitalized and show us a convincing performance during the group stage. The underestimated Genji is the most dangerous.
Genji lands in Group D. That means it's time for the Pool 3 teams, Jankos. Go ahead. Rogue.
The 3rd and final seed for Europe this year is Rogue. Last year, Rogue was seeded into a difficult group, and while expectations were low, many did not expect them to finish last in their group. Coming into 2021, Rogue looked dominant during the regular season and were expected to make back-to-back finals. However, the organization continued to fall short. After losing 3-0 to Fnatic in the semi-finals, expectations once again looked to be low once more as European fans turn their attention to the other 2 seeds. Regardless, the team looks to change the narrative and turn heads at this year's Worlds, with Hansama and Inspired being players to watch.
Rogue lands in Group A with FPX and Damwon Kia. Go ahead and draw the next team, Jankos. RNG.
The reigning MSI champions come into Worlds with a lot to prove. After Xiaohu's crazy role swap in spring led them to an LPL title and an MSI championship, RNG failed to defend their LPL crown in summer. But in the regional qualifier, they bounced back with a dominating performance, and they are still coming into Worlds as one of the biggest teams to fear. With Ming playing heavily around top lane star Xiaohu, we're going to see if these 2-time MSI champions will be able to lead RNG to their very first World Championship victory and continue with RNG being the most successful LPL team internationally.
As RNG would be joining a group that already has an LPL representative in Group B, they move on to Group C. Go ahead, Jankos. 2 teams left. Doing great. Team Liquid.
Team Liquid is a team that many thought would win the LCS title this time around. However, only 2nd place. That said, their road to victory can still exist here. Alfari was the big pickup on the roster. He is an outstanding top laner, especially in the early to mid game. The man demands resources, and boy does he spend them well. He is record-shatteringly lane dominant in the LCS and in his old career in the LEC as well. Look out for Liquid to play around top lane, to play around Alfari, and to get him to take over the map from there.
TL lands in Group D because there was already an LCS representative in Group B, leaving us with the last team to be drawn. Go ahead, Jankos. T1.
The greatest player of all time is back at Worlds. Faker, flanked by some of the best individual talent we have in the LCK, has made his way back. Despite being the LCK's third seed, they have shown incredible highs when the early game goes according to plan. They are able to snowball the entirety of the map, rallying around their star mid lane and bolstered by their oppressive bot lanes. If they can avoid some of the inconsistencies and draft we saw during the regular split, will we possibly see Faker hold another trophy?